When you think of a high quality, professionally made product, do you think of this? Hey there, I'm Ritzy. I make comics and I talk comics. So a few months ago, Harlequin Romance, which is an imprint of HarperCollins, the second largest book publishing company in the world, announced this partnership with Dashtune, an AI comic company to make AI generated microdramas, which are like 2-minute episodes filmed vertically like a TikTok or a YouTube short. And I just have to ask, what do they think they're gonna get out of this? Because it's not gonna be anything good. You're not gonna be able to want to put this on a resume or put this on a billboard or really advertise anything about how it looks, because it is going to be so hilariously terrible. So for instance, let's look at an AI generated comic that Dashtune themselves made. It looks like this, a series of unrelated JPEGs stitched together with some of the most amateurish lettering I've ever seen on a comic, like Silent Hill Ranch level. Awful. AI generated comics only make sense to a board of directors and not to anyone that actually has to read or write them. How do you think a video is going to fare any better? Let's circle back to the beginning of Dashtune. They were founded in 2022 by a group of Indian developers, and since then they've gone on to be backed by Google, made a partnership with the Korean Webtoon International Association. So Dashtune has this thing of saying a bunch of random statistics and just kind of throwing them out there with no backing, and they're the only source for these numbers. For instance, they say that they have over 300 artists working for them. I've seen this repeated a few different places. The first place that I can find it being said is Dashtune's own blog, and I genuinely have to ask, how do you define an artist? And I don't mean like you, the audience. I mean Dashtune personally, which I guess is the audience, because I know that they Google themselves and they leave bot reviews on Reddit threads with like 10 upvotes, because it is clearly not artists who are making the comics that you're selling. Another statistic that I found on this blog, Writers Beware, where they say that only 2% of the workload is AI generating work. Can we just call this an obvious lie? You can't show me this and say it is not AI generated, because you've done the opposite. And I remember, so at the time in early 2024, all of the comics that they had on their site that they were promoting as AI-generated comics that they made and owned were not AI-generated, and they did not own them. They had just gotten the covers of Webtoon Canvas comics that had enough of an audience to have been found kind of easily, have quality art, but were not big enough that no one would know that they were from Webtoon Canvas, unless they did what I did and right-clicked on the image and hit Google image search and immediately found the original Canvas series. I've tried to Wayback Machine this and get the screenshots, for some mysterious reason, are not saved on the Wayback Machine. It can be that way sometimes, so I'm not saying that that's Dashtune's doing, but I am saying that this is my only evidence. Dashtune, an AI comic platform I covered previously, is still stealing art from creators to promote their website. I reached out to one of the creators privately and was told they've reached out to Dashtune and heard nothing back. Dashtune does not care to be held accountable. Why did I look like that? But these are real screenshots of Dashtune's website in the background of this video. It's the only source I have. Please don't judge me. But this is another account of objective misinformation. They did not make these comics. They are promoting them like they did. They are promoting them like they were AI generated. These were not. I reached out to these authors because you can do that. You know, these people aren't living in caves making this. Like, I know that at a certain point, you can say anything, right? Like, I can say, I have 1 million subscribers. I have a horde of fans who love me dearly and praise my every footstep. You should be one of them. Like and subscribe, hit that bell, do all the things. But I obviously do not have 1 million subscribers. You know, I'm part of a horde. Octorok Nation rise up. But if there's money on the line and you're just saying whatever sounds nicest to any demographic to try to just keep them on your side, do not think that counts. There is a deadline for this kind of grift. Dashtune clearly knows that they can't keep doing this AI stuff forever. That's why they pivoted to Dash Reels. I hope that they just kind of stay there. I kind of want them to close down Dashtune and just Be a TikTok clone. Dashtune doesn't need to exist. There is no market being filled by them. There is no reason to be in that business besides the fact that it is so much easier to lie in comics, especially internationally. Marvel and DC are the biggest publishers, and they actively hate hiring new talent. Image and Dark Horse are a little better, but tend to only hire people that work at Marvel and DC that are, more established names, which means that if you want to be a new voice in the space, you have to go to some weird new media. I publish on Webtoon Canvas. A lot of people publish on Webtoon Canvas, and eventually some of them can become original series there, make money that way. But the thing with the internet is that you do not need these companies anymore. You can just make art online and be smart about how you want to get money, how you want to get paid. I went to business school to try to learn tools of the trade, see if there's anything that they're teaching that I need to know. And I'll tell you right now, if you are an artist and are putting in any sort of effort to make art, you are a better business person than anyone that's gone to business school, because you have just sold yourself the idea of being creative. That's what it is to be a business person. It's not that hard. None of the heads of these companies actually care about what the words coming out of their mouths mean. They'll just say whatever. The only 2% of the process is AI generated. We have 200 million users. And you definitely don't have to work with these companies to be a real artist either. Getting a paycheck based off of your art is not a measure of how good an artist you are. Being personally satisfied with what you make is. That's why I take it upon myself to look at all of these different comic platforms, see what they offer, if they're going to stick around for a year or more, or if they're just gonna close as soon as they opened. Because it's so easy to take advantage of people, especially when they don't really know what's happening. A lot of people that would work at places like Dashtune have never worked in a creative space before. They're just looking for any opportunity and just taking that as soon as they get it. And so obviously I'm not going to blame any of the authors or any artists potentially that have worked with Dashtune. What I hope this video does is educate people a bit more on what is happening in their space and how to avoid working for these people who want to do nothing but take advantage of you and then dump you as soon as possible. Defining being a creative or being a professional artist in only terms of financial gain from your output is not a healthy way of engaging with or making art. It should come from you wanting to improve, from you wanting to do better, trying to take what is inside you and get it out into the world so that other people can relate to it and understand what you're trying to say and what you're trying to put into the world. You should be triply cautious with working with any company because your output is you. Your labor that goes into writing and drawing and doing Comic Sans lettering on these AI generated comics, they are still you. I think that you should really hold on to that and make sure that if you're going to work for a company, if you're going to get paid for what you do, it is on your terms and you stand your ground, because whatever you are comfortable with, whatever you're wanting in life for your career as an artist, that is what you deserve. That is your base level. And anything under that, you should not pay attention to, because you will probably be worse off for taking those opportunities. Your art is going to outlast any money that you make on it because it's made of stronger stuff. Your passions and your goals and even your failures. And that's what people are going to relate to and pass on far after a dollar has withered and turned into dust. And I hope that people are learning that from massive indie successes like The Amazing Digital Circus, getting into theaters, having 1 billion+ views on YouTube. You can make it just as you, and you don't need these people to come in and ruin that path. So yeah, that's the video for this week. I have a new series out called Beeswax on Webtoon Canvas. It's about two witches who fall back in love 10 years after a tragic breakup. Please go read it if that sounds interesting to you or if the art's talking to you in any way. And if you want to see more, please support me on Patreon. That would be a massive help.